Hi everyone, thanks for joining this NBS Chorus Stylesheets Masterclass webinar. My name is Martin Marks and I am a trainer at NBS and I'll be taking you through the webinar today. Before we get underway, a little bit of housekeeping for today's session. The webinar will last a maximum of 60 minutes. During the session, your microphones will be muted. You can use the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel to ask questions. We'll follow up by email after the session. Also, this session is being recorded. We'll make this available to watch again later via the Chorus support articles. The agenda for today is I'll show you a preview of today's masterclass example. I'll show you where you can download the custom style sheet templates. I'll overview the template content and features. I'll show you the workflow and steps to create today's example. I'll show you how to upload, activate and publish with your template. And we'll finish with some other style sheet examples. To give you a little context to how publishing works within Chorus, when you publish your specification, whether it be to a PDF or to a Word document, Chorus actually uses a default Microsoft Word template file containing sets of styles, lists, and placeholders. You can customize this standard Microsoft Word template to produce a bespoke, branded, published output. Similar to the example on screen now. This feature is available now for customers with a Chorus 2 and above subscription. If you'd like to discuss upgrading your Chorus 1 subscription to enable this feature, then please contact your account manager. On the left, you can see the current standard cover page. In the centre is an example of what I'll be creating today. So, a full page image, vertical band and text to the left, our logo, and simple basic project and specification details. You'll also notice that I've moved most of the revision information over to a separate document control sheet, which you can see on the right of the slide. So just a nicely presented, clean cover page. The document control sheet. The standard output does not have a document control sheet. It's all included on the cover page. In the centre is the example I'll show you today. All of the revision and issue information, together with the project description, collated onto a single, separate headed page. The contents list. Again, standard output on the left, today's example in the centre. Here I've added a logo and branding and changed the title. The specification details. So logo and branding again, subtle changes to the header and footer styles, and again subtle changes to the body of the specification. I could have been far more extreme with lots of different fonts and sizes and colours, but I've decided to keep it a little bit more conservative. You'll see the principle behind these changes, so you can be as extreme or as subtle as you wish with your template. Finally, the rear cover. Just a nice, simple, variegated colour background. So, that's my webinar example for today. So I'll just switch over now to my browser and you'll see my project dashboard on screen. If you follow me up to the top right hand corner, you will see your initials or gravatar image. If you click on them and hover your mouse cursor over the application status option, you'll see your Chorus subscription level listed under license. So here mine shows I have a Chorus 3 subscription. If yours indicates Chorus 1, then unfortunately you will not be able to use the feature I'll be covering today. We do have, however, some support articles which outline creating and applying styling for Chorus One customers. If you would like to discuss upgrading your Chorus subscription, then, as I mentioned, please contact your account manager. The majority of the steps I'll be covering today are covered in detailed support articles. I'll quickly show where you can find these. So if you click on the Help menu and then the Read Our Support Articles option, if we scroll down, you'll see the articles for Chorus One customers here. However, you'll also find this section, Styling Your Specifications for Chorus 2 and above. This contains all of the support articles I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to view the 01 Download the NBS Custom Stylesheets article. This is where you can download the template applicable to your region. At the bottom, if we scroll down, there are links to download either the Canadian Stylesheet or the UK and Australian Stylesheet. If you hover your mouse cursor over the title, it will indicate which one is which. So I'm just going to download the UK and Australian one, as that is applicable for my region. Now that's downloaded, I'll open it with Microsoft Word. In my copy of Word, I need to click on Enable Editing at the top here before I can edit the template. Let's just have a look at the template, and this is the one that produces the standard output from Chorus. On the cover page, you'll see various text enclosed within double curly brackets. So things like the project code, organisation, project client, project title, and so forth. These will display the corresponding information from your project details, together with other details you enter when you publish your specification. It's important not to change the specific text or capitalisation of these placeholder fields. If they are changed, they will not work. It's also worth noting that these are in fact text control boxes. If I click into the project title, you'll see a border around it and a control button at the top left. So if you want to copy and paste a placeholder within your template, you'll probably want to make sure after you have pasted it that it is still a text control box, simply by clicking into it and making sure the border and the control button are present. So, on to the content list. In the header, we can see more placeholder fields. The contents list itself will automatically populate when the specification is published. Now we'll scroll down and have a look at the specification content section. Again, we have a header, and that has the same placeholders that we saw before. There is also a page footer with some additional placeholders for the clause or section code and title, etc. In the body of this page, however, we have what I would describe as sacrificial example content. It's included so you can select, adjust and preview the various styles within the template. For example, the font, size, colour, bold, underline, italic and so forth. There are multiple different styles in the template pertaining to different types of text within your specification. For example, the row label, which you may refer to as a row title or row description, can be styled independently and differently to the row value text, which you may refer to as row details or the row entry field. We'll see how to do this in due course. One important aspect to note, however, is the content placeholder at the start of this section of the template. This is required for the template to work and should not be altered, deleted, or moved in the template. However, when the specification is published from Chorus, everything on this page will be removed and will be replaced with your specification details. Lastly, we have the rear cover page. This is optional and can be removed if you don't want to include it. Now we've looked at the various elements within the template, we'll look at customizing it to reflect our corporate branding. So I'm going to jump back to the cover page. In the template, the Arial font is used throughout. It might be as a company you have a particular font that you use for all of your documents. Whilst we can change everything in the template individually to a particular font, it can also be done en masse and thereby saving quite a bit of time. If this applies to your company, this should be the first change you make to your template. So, if I switch to the Design menu, at the right hand side of the ribbon toolbar you'll see the Fonts button, which is a drop-down menu. So, at the bottom of the menu we can choose Customize Fonts. From here we can select a heading font, for example for a clause or section code and titles, and the body font for the remainder of the document. So I'm going to select Arzo Sans Medium for the heading font and Arzo Sans for the rest of the document. The preview on the right gives an indication to what this will look like. You can then give this font a name. I'll use NBS, but you can enter whatever you like for your name. And then I'll just click on Save. Now, if I highlight any text within the document, you can see from the pop-up, or indeed from the home ribbon, that the fonts I have selected have been changed throughout. I'm going to come back to my cover page in a moment, but first I'm going to create a document control sheet table. Then, once I've copied over all of the placeholders I want to include, I'll return and finish my cover. So firstly, I am going to click here, just to the right hand side of the project description placeholder field. And that's just to place my insertion point, which is the flashing text marker that you can see here now. And now I'm going to create a new page by inserting a page break. There's probably several ways that you can do this. I find the easiest just to hold down the Control and hit the return key on the keyboard. So that's now created my new page, and I'll just go in and enter my title. So there's my document control sheet title, and I'm just going to hit return there. And now I can just highlight all of that text, and I want to change the font of it, and I can do it from the pop-up field here, but you can also do it directly from the home ribbon. So I can select the text color tool here, and I actually want to just create a new RGB color. So I want to include 89, 45, 95 there, and I'll just go ahead and click on OK, and that's then changed the font color, as you can see there. Now I might want to make that slightly larger. I'll just use the tools in Word here just to increase the size, so that's about the size that I wanted here. Next, I am going to want to insert my table. Again, there's probably loads of ways you can do this in Word. I find the easiest way just to come up to the insert option, click on the table tool, and just drag out a table here. So this one's 2 columns wide, 8 rows deep, and I might need a few more rows in here, so I'm just going to highlight a couple and just insert some rows below. And now I'm going to start putting in my titles that I want to appear at the left hand side. So we'll have issued by, and then we'll have client, and then project title, then project code, publication title, publication number, publication status, and publication revision. Okay, so that's the basis of the labels that I want, or the titles I want at the left hand side here. So the text is a little big for me there. I'm just going to highlight the whole table, just change that down to 12 points. So now I can adjust my column width and just drag that out. I can make final adjustments to this in due course. And I'm going to put my NBS address in here. Now I have this set up on a sort of spelling autocorrect, so I just need to type in NBS address and then that will automatically change that text, as you can see here. So now I can just format that how I would like that to appear, as we can see there. Now I am going to start copying over the various placeholder fields from the cover sheet. So firstly, client. So I'm just clicking to the left here, and that highlights everything, including the text control field. And then I'm just going to cut that using Control X and paste that into there. And project title. Well, I'm going to want that on my cover page, so I'm just going to copy that one and paste that in. I'm not too worried at this stage about the font size. I'm going to adjust that all in a moment. And then project code we can get from here. So again, I'll click into that box and then Control A to highlight everything there, and then just copy that out and paste that in there. And you can see there that's come through with the white font. So just so I can see that, I'll just change that font to just a standard color there. And there's obviously something in here, maybe a tab character or something like that. So what I'm going to do is just click to the left hand side of that, and you can see the flashing cursor is still just inside that text control box. So just tap the left arrow on the keyboard and that moves that insertion point outside of that box, and I can use the backspace key there. Then we have publication title. Again, I'll just copy that across. Oops, publication title. Copy that across. Again, I'm going to want that on my cover page, so I'm going to leave that there as well. Publication number. Again, we'll just cut that and we'll paste that there. Publication status. Again, we'll just copy that, paste that in there. Publication revision. Again, just simple copy and paste here. And so I don't need that one. I don't need that last, or one of those last rows, so I can just delete that. Oops, delete row. Okay. So again, just to adjust the fonts and colors, I can highlight the whole table and I'll just make them just a sort of standard color and change them all to 12 points. So that's the makings of what I want there for my table. But I also want to include my project description. So I'll just come and just click at the bottom here, just create myself a row here. And I think what I'll do is I'll have a, I'll just copy this in, just cut that and just paste that in there. And I might want to include a line under here, as you saw in the PowerPoint. So I just come and select a bottom border there. Now I'm just going to adjust the borders to my table. Again, just highlight the whole table there and just come up here, and I'm just going to clear all of these borders. And then I'm going to put a border to the top of my top row here. I'm going to put a border to the bottom of my last row. And just going to highlight this text and put a sort of line between them, just using a left border there. And I think I'll just tidy that up a little. So that's shaping up to be the document control sheet that I would like there. So I might also want to include a logo on the top of this page. So I can just double click into the header, and I can go to the insert menu and insert a picture. Just navigate to the logo that I want to include and just insert it. So I'll adjust the size and position in a moment, but what I want to do is I want to make sure this is behind the text. So we'll just come down here to wrap text and select behind text, and right click over it again and select wrap text, and then fixed position on page. So now I can drag that to where I want it, and I can resize it as I need there, as you can see. I might also want to include a little watermark on the bottom right hand corner of the page. So again, I can come in here to the header, and I can do this in the footer as well, and just go to insert picture, select the image that I want to use. Where are we? That's that image there. Just insert that. And again, just right click over it, hover over wrap text, send it behind, and hover over wrap text again from the right click menu, and fixed position on page. And now I can just drag that to where I want on that page here. So I think there's just about right. So I'll just cancel out of the header and footer. And that's the kind of document control sheet that I want here. So, yeah, that's looking as I would like. So next we'll have a look at the cover page. And firstly, I'm just going to select this blue square here. I'm just going to click on it to select it and then just delete it with the delete key. I don't want that on my cover page. And I'm going to get rid of organisation here. I only want really to include my project title, my publication title. Then get rid of this information here. I don't really want that included. And I'm going to highlight everything here. And I'm going to make it the same size. Maybe make this, what size shall I make this? Just highlight down here until I get the kind of size that I want here. And I actually want to include a different font here. So I'm just going to click on the font color options here. And I'm going to choose a custom font here. I might have this as 210, 90, 90. Maybe that's the colour I want here. So I'll just click on OK here and let's have a look there. Yeah, so that's kind of like the colour that I'm looking for here. I'm also just going to highlight it again, then just go up, and I'm going to include a gradient effect here. So I'm going to have a gradient effect from the going from the left to the right here. So that's kind of like the font that I want here. And from the slideshow you would have seen, I'm going to put like a purple vertical column at the side there. So I'm going to just use the tools here just to move that over slightly. I can move that about at a later stage to suit. I'm just clicking here, and again, I clicked at the end there and I've used my left arrow key. I just need to hit the left arrow key again to make sure I'm outside of that text control field before I start adding any additional lines in here. And again, just use the left arrow key just to bring that down. And in fact, maybe I want that slightly smaller font, so I'm just going to go down maybe to 28 point size on that. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to include the revision number at the bottom. So the way I'm going to do this, I am going to insert a text box for this. So I'm just going to click on text box from the insert ribbon. I'm just going to choose the option to draw a text box. So I'm not going to be too precise about this just at this moment in time. And then for my project revision, let's come back into the table here. I'm just going to highlight that and just copy that, and I'm going to paste that into here. And again, because we've copied and pasted that, I just want to turn that on just to make sure that we've got that carriage return character at the end of it. So now I am going to insert I'll just take that tab stop out there. You can just click on that and just drag it out to remove it. And I want to insert the tab stop to the right here. So just from the corner up here in the top left, I'm just going to click on that until it shows me the right tab stop. I'm just going to position that where I want in that text box. So there. So now when I click home again, I need to use the left arrow key just to get me outside of that text control field, and I can tab that across, and that now will appear at the right hand side of that text box. So now I need to format the text, so it will just highlight everything. And again, I'm going to come up, and you can see it's remembered the last color that I added here using the custom colors. So I'm going to select that and then use the gradient feature again and just put the same gradient on that I did for the other details here. Now I need to format this text box because it has a line around it. So if I just hover my mouse over the sort of edge of that text box and right click, I get the option to format shape. This will give me the format options down the right hand side of my page. So I want to make sure that fill is set to no fill and line is set to no line. So that will give me essentially an invisible box around that field there. And now I can position that where I want in my document. Just put it down in the bottom right hand corner. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger. So just highlight that text and just take that up a couple of sizes there. Okay, so now to insert my purple vertical sort of box at the left hand side of the page here. So again, I'm going to go up to the insert menu, and for this I'm just going to insert a shape, and I'm going to select a plain square rectangle, and again I can just drag that out where I want on the page, and then I can drag that about so it sort of sits neatly in the corner here. And if I scroll down, I can then grab the drag handle in the bottom corner, just drag that down to the bottom of the page, make that the sort of colour that I want here. So now I want to change the colour of that, so I can come straight up here to the shape fill, and it has remembered the last colour I used for the font that at the top of the document control sheet. So I'm going to use that, just have a plain simple colour, and now just need to right click over that as we did before and hover over wrap text and send that behind the text, and hover over wrap text again from the right click menu and fix the position on page there. Okay, so now I want to include some text into there, so I can just start typing my text. NBS Enterprises. So I want that to be vertical, obviously. I'm just going to select all of the text, and I'm going to make that slightly larger again from the home ribbon. Just going to make that, maybe take that up to maybe 36 point size maybe. And to set that to be vertical, we just need to come over to the format box. We've already got this open from the last time, and select text options and come to the layout and properties, and I'm going to align the text direction to rotate all text by 270 degrees. Okay, so I maybe do want that slightly larger, maybe take that up to 48 point. And I'm going to select this and put this as a white font, and I'm going to apply a gradient to this as well. So all from the font options here, I'm going to apply this particular gradient there. Okay, So that's now got my my purple band and my vertical text there, and I want to insert a logo in the top here, but I want that logo to be white. So I do actually have a monochrome version of our logo already prepared, and I'm going to go to Insert and Pictures and find my monochrome logo, and you can see there that has a red background, just so I can see that it's actually a sort of white logo there. So as before, right click over that, hover over wrap text, send it behind text, hover over it again, right click, wrap text, fix position on page. Now I can drag that to where I would like that positioned, so right about there, and select the size that I want. Now it's still got that red colour background there, so the way we can get rid of that, from the format menu, we can come to the colour button, click on the drop down and select set transparent colour. So now my mouse cursor will change to a sort of eyedropper shape, and I can click on the red background and that will then remove it and it becomes transparent, as you can see there. So now I want to add my image to the page as well. So again, from the insert menu, come to insert picture, and we'll just navigate to where my picture is that I want to include, and it's this logo here that I want to include here. So you can see, because of the size, that's now put that on a different page, and that's just because it's in line with the text. So if I right click and do the same as I've done before, hover over wrap text, send it behind text, and that's now should have moved back up onto the cover page. And we can right click, hover over wrap text and fix position on page. So now I can drag that to where I want, just by holding the left mouse button there down. So I want that about there, and you can see my drag handle's just gone off the side of the page here. So I'm just going to adjust that slightly. Let's make sure I can see the bottom of the page. I'm just going to drag that out so that the image is a little bit larger, and we'll cover the whole page. And now I can just drag that to where I want it. Actually wasn't in too bad a position before. So there we have my cover page looking hopefully as I would like that to appear in my published document. I'm going to actually make a slight adjustment here. I'm just going to drag that over and down a little bit, and you can see that's actually going over the purple vertical bar that I added. So what I might want to do is just right click on that and just say I want to send that backwards. So that sent it backwards, so it's now behind the logo, and just send that backwards once more, and that's now underneath my purple vertical bar. So that's my cover done, and next we're going to look at the contents list. So I'll just scroll down to the contents list, and here we have it. First thing I want to do is change the title from contents. I want this to say specification-systems. There we have it, and I'm going to adjust the font colour, so I'll highlight everything and use the font colour tool up here, and it's remembered the last few custom colours that I set up, so I'm going to choose that as purple and now make it slightly larger. I think I'm going to make this around about 36 point in size, so that looks good to me. Next I'm going to turn my attention to the header, so just double click in it to highlight it. First thing I want to do is I want to put a logo here. I also want to put an underline or a sort of bottom border on the header here. So I'll start with the bottom border. Just click to the very right of the project client field, and I need to make sure that I'm not within the text control field, which I'm not at this moment. And I can hit the return key to insert a new line. Then from the home ribbon, I can use the border tool just to put in a bottom border. Now for the logo. So I've already put one of these on the previous page, so I should be able to go up here and click on it to highlight it, then Control C on the keyboard to copy it, and come back down once more into my header on the contents list, and I'm going to paste it. But you notice when I click to the left of the project code, it's included the flashing cursor within the text control field. So I can use the left arrow key on the keyboard, make sure I'm outside of that, and now I can paste with Control V. I can now position that where I want on the page, as you can see there. Now, if I did want to be super accurate, with that highlighted and selected, I can go to the Format menu and go to the drop down on the size box here and select the Position tab. And I can check this and correct this so it matches the previous logo exactly. Next, I want to include this watermark that you see here. And I previously inserted that in the header on the previous page. So I can just copy that. You can just see the line here indicating that is selected. And again, I can copy that. So I can use Control C, but right click copy does just as well. And then I can click into the header here. And again, I need to make sure my flashing cursor is outside of the text control field. Then I can paste with Control V and position this where I want it on the page. So about there. And again, if I want to be super accurate, I can come to the Format menu, click on this drop down into the Position tab, and I can check and correct these so that they both match exactly. Okay, let me just click out of the header and footer, and that is my contents list as I would like to see it. So now I'm going to turn my attention to the styling of the main body of the specification document. Everything you see on this page is what I would refer to as sacrificial content. This will all be deleted and replaced with the specification content when you publish from Chorus. It's included so you can change the styling of different aspects of the specification, so how the clause and section code and title will be presented, or the row title and row values, etc. It's pretty easy to change all of the styles, but first I want to mention how not to change them. So do not highlight text within the document and then use the formatting controls. Any changes you make using this method will not be reflected in the published output. So I'll explain how you can change them. In Word, you can set up different styles that you see here in the Home ribbon. And these are what determine how the text looks when they are associated with one of these styles. Now, they're pretty easy to change. You can just right click and you can select Modify, and you can change the font or the size. You can make them bold, italic, underline. You can change the colour. And there's a few other things you can probably change in there as well. And making those changes would apply to all aspects of the document that includes that particular style. Now, you might have previously used these in other Word documents, for example, to apply heading 1, heading 2, etc. formats when you're creating reports and such like. And this is basically what we're going to use to style this part of the template. But first, this is a handy tip when making these changes. If I click on this drop-down button in the bottom of the Styles menu, it will display the styling tool at the right-hand side of the page. Now, I can also click on Options at the bottom here and set that, if it's not already set, to In Use. And what that will mean is that will only display the styles that are actually in use in this document. So, having now selected that, I will now change a couple of styles in the document. So if I click on my clause and section code, you'll see here it will highlight the style that's in use for that particular piece of text there. And I can right click on here and I can modify that. So I might want to just leave the fonts because I set them previously for my default Arzo Sans. I might want to change, however, the colour. So I might want to make this a a green colour. And I might want to make it bold as well. Okay, that's a change I want to make to that. And you'll see that's now reflected in the document. Now I might want to change the clause and section title. And again, it's highlighted here at the panel at the right hand side. And I can right click and modify. And we'll change that also to a green colour. And oh, it was already bold, so I'll just make that bold once more. And again, just click on OK. And that is now reflected in the document here. So next I might want to change the the clause and section type. And again, it's highlighted at the right, and I can modify that. And I might want to change the colour of this one again, and I might want to use the same colour I used on my cover page here. Just click on OK. Then maybe the clause section code at the start of each clause or section. And again, it highlights on the right. I can right click, modify. And again, I'm just going to change the colour here. And I might want to make that maybe an orange colour. And you can see that's reflected here. And then I might just finally change the clause and section title. And again, modify from the right. And I'll choose the same colour for that. So you can see, change this here, and it's also changing elsewhere in the document that uses the same style. So not making massive changes here. Obviously in your template you can be as radical and change as much as you like in here, change the fonts, change the sizes, and so on and so forth. But that's the kind of changes that I want to make here. Okay, lastly I am going to change my rear cover. So fairly plain rear cover at the moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a simple variegated colour background on here. I'm going to start by going to the insert menu and just use the shape tool and just insert a plain rectangle like I did for the purple vertical bar on the cover page. So I'm just going to drag that out. I'll reposition this in a moment, and next thing I want to do is I'm just going to change the colours here. So I'm going to go to shape fill as I did before. I'm going to choose my dark purple colour, which is the custom colour that I set before using the RGB colours, and go back to shape fill. I'm going to choose a gradient effect. So I might want to have a look at how these are going to look. Okay, maybe none of these really suit what I want. So what I'm going to do, instead of using that tool, I am going to just format the shape, and you can see it's just changed the details here. And I can go to fill, and I want to change this to gradient fill. Okay, so first of all, for the gradient fill, I'm going to just remove a couple of these gradients in here. I'm just going to click on this one first of all, and then use the colour selection tool. And again, use my recent colour, my dark purple colour. I'm going to select that here. And you can see I don't want it variegating down, I want to variegate it across the page. So we just choose the appropriate option here. And now what I can do is I can just duplicate that stop here, and that has the same colour. Just check on here, make sure, just change that colour. Actually it didn't, so I'll just change that. And I might want to set this to a transparency of perhaps 30%. And then I'll duplicate that one again. And again, just make sure I change that to the correct colour, and change the transparency here to maybe 50%. And then just select that last one, change the colour once more, and change the transparency here to maybe about 75%. So maybe that's how I want my cover to look. I could play around with these and make whatever changes I want, but that's what I want that to look like for the moment. So now I will need to just make sure this covers the whole page. So I can just grab the corners and drag them up until they meet the top and bottom corner. And actually, I think that this has a line around it. So I'm just going to go and select no line just to get rid of that. and then we will just drag that into the bottom corner there. So there is my variegated rear cover. There are other things I could do here. If I wanted to send it back, I can wrap text, send it behind text. If I do that, you'll notice the rectangle here with the details of the logo and some text in there has obviously a white background. So if you have a similar thing in your template, you can click on that and just, you can see it's changed the format shape. Now I've selected that one, and I could just select no fill, which again gives it a transparent background there. So that is my document complete. I'll just save that and switch over once more into Chorus. So first thing to mention is that to upload the Stylesheet template, you need to be an organization administrator for your Chorus organization. The way you upload it is you click on your initials or gravatar image in the top right hand corner and select Organization Settings. Here you'll find Stylesheets, and if I click into that, it will list out all of the Stylesheets that you currently have within your organization. To upload the one that I've just created, just click on Upload Stylesheets. You need to make sure that you're selecting the appropriate region for the template that you have used. So for me, I used the UK and Australia template. Next, you choose the file. And we can give it a title. And you may wish to include some notes for the style sheet as well. And just simply click Upload. So you can see in the table here, it will have the file name of the file that you uploaded, the title that you gave the style sheet, together with any notes that you had chosen to include. It will also show you which region the style sheet is for, and once it has finished uploading, it will have a state of inactive. An inactive state indicates that the style sheet has not yet been released for general use. It will only be able to be published by organisation administrators, and that is so you can test the style sheet to make sure it is working as you have intended. It will also show who uploaded the style sheet, and there are various options that you can access from the menu button. I'll come back to that in a moment. Let me just refresh this table to see if the style sheet has uploaded. So we can see there it has, and it now has a state of inactive. Let's have a look at publishing with this then. So I'll just go back to my project dashboard and publish a specification from my old post office project. Publishing is done as before, so you would click on the menu button to the right of the specification that you wish to publish. And in this section, the structure section, you can choose between PDF and Word. I'm going to choose PDF. And if it's a uniclass specification, you can choose single systems or grouped systems by code. You can also choose to compare to a previous revision, and it would be worth doing that to fully test your style sheet. For my purpose, I'm just going to skip that. I'll come back and check with the revisions in a little while. So I can choose to save the publish history. I can amend the publication title. I'm just going to enter some revision and issue information. And click Next. And in the final step, the styling stage here, you can choose the template to use. So NBS default style sheet gives you the standard published output. If I click on that drop down, organizational administrators will see both inactive and active style sheets. Standard users, in other words, users who are not organizational administrators, will only see active style sheets. So I'm going to publish with my style sheet that I've just uploaded and have a look at that and just make sure it is publishing as I had anticipated it will. So now that's downloaded, let's have a quick look. Just going to zoom out a little here. So here's my cover page with my vertical purple bar at the left hand side, my variegated coloured text on the full size image, and I have my revision number in the bottom there. Onto the document control sheet. Again, this looks to be publishing exactly as I intended. So I have my logo, I have my watermark in the bottom corner that I added to the header, and I have my table here with my various issue and revision information together with the description of the project. The contents list, again, I have my logo and the watermark that I added into the template. The contents list now says specification systems as I had intended. And if we have a look at the body of the specification, so my sort of clause and section code and title heading is green as I intended. My sort of section is red as I intended, and I have my orange colour for my clause, code and title as intended. So that all looks to be what I had intended. Let's just finally just take a look at the cover page at the back. So again, that is as I had intended it would look like. So all in all, that looks to be working correctly for myself. Obviously, for your Stylesheets templates, you would probably want to verify them with revisions included and revisions not included. And you might want to test with a few of your previous specifications just to make sure that your template is behaving as you expect. I'll switch back to Chorus now and show you how you can activate your style sheet. So once again, we come up to our initials or gravatar image in the top right hand corner and select Organization Settings and click back into Style Sheets. So here's my style sheet that I've just checked. So for me, I'm happy with the output, so I can click to activate the style sheet. And the other options you have here, if the style sheet didn't publish exactly as you intended, you can delete the style sheet, make whatever changes you need in the Word template, and then re-upload it and test it again. Edit details means you can change the title and the notes which appear within the list here. But I'm just going to go ahead and activate the style sheet. So that's now changed to an active status. And if I return back to my project and just click in and just show you what that will look like for your normal users, so non-admins. So you can see there it won't say inactive, and this will now be visible to all of your users within your Chorus organization. Okay, so that is how you can create, upload, activate and publish with your custom style sheet template. What I'll do now is I'll switch back to my PowerPoint presentation and just show you a couple of other style sheet examples. Okay, so this one here, I really like the monochrome look on the cover page. In this particular one, you can see there's also a vertical bar and vertical text there. And in particular, in the specification section, it has the code and title details vertically aligned on the side of the page there. Another nice example of a style sheet template. As you will see, this one is arranged in landscape format. And as you will see, What that means is you can get effectively 2 pages worth of specification side by side onto a single landscape page. And here are some example cover pages. The one in the middle there, nice variegated background, multiple pictures, and just a nice clean look to it. This one obviously uses a monochrome photograph on a dark background there, nice and clean. I really like that, the style of that particular one. So this example has more of a traditional, I suppose, look to it. We've got the various information about the document included on a table on the cover page, and just a nice monochrome graphic at the bottom of the page there. This example shows a nicely framed vintage photograph, as you can see there. Obviously, with the tools within Microsoft Word, you can get really creative in terms of the frame that you might want to put around photographs or pictures or images that you have on your cover page. And this is quite a stylized example, as you can see. I like the fonts on here. I also like the use of the shape in the top right hand corner to create a sort of window from the background image to place the project code. That brings us to the end of the webinar for today. I hope you'll find it beneficial to you in creating your own custom style sheets. As I mentioned at the start, this webinar is being recorded and we'll make it available from the Chorus support articles. We'll also follow up by email to all of your questions as soon as we can. Thanks again for joining, and goodbye for now.